You're raving, you're raving, you're raving with RWR. Fabulous songwriters from Belgium and beyond, the lowlands, the highlands, and far across the pond. On Instagram and Facebook too, you can follow, like, and share. Please hit subscribe and join the tribe from the comfort of your chair. You're raving, you're raving, you're raving with RWR. The top of the evening to you all, and good evening. You are watching Raving with RWR, my little live stream series here on my YouTube channel, Songs from the RWR Room, dedicated to singer-songwriters from Belgium and beyond. In Belgium, and it's lovely to see you all. It is the 13th of February in the year 2021, in case you're watching from the future. Who knows? We have some live viewers already, which is lovely to see. Let us know where you're watching from. We have Mr. Mo downtown Warscoat in Belgium. Hello, Stephen. Good to see you, sir. Thanks for tuning in. If you have comments or questions, throw them up there, lads, and I will try to get to most of them as we go along. If it is your first time to the show or to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button down there for me, folks, if you would, and maybe give the old video a thumbs up. Let YouTube know that I ain't messing around. This is not a game. And please do that if you can. And tonight's stream, as always, brought to us courtesy of G-Sharp Guitars, the world's finest travel electric guitars. Thanks to them for sponsoring the streams. How is everybody doing? Where are you watching from? Chris is there from Germany. Guten Abend, sir. Lovely to see you once again for tuning in. Thank you, Chris, as well. I'm going over to Tullamore very soon. I first met Tony Holleran, I suppose it was 1981 or two. He was my school teacher in Forban National School, and then something magical happened. He became my guitar teacher, my first guitar teacher, and the rest, as I say, is history. He put myself and a lot of guitar players, including Danny Guinan and lots of amateurs alike, guitar players, through his hands, and we're all very grateful to him for that. I'm delighted that he can be with us tonight. Eddie Jensen from Costa Blanca is tuned in. Hello, Eddie. Nice to see you, and thank you for tuning in. So without further ado, I'm going over to Tullamore, and let's see if the main man himself is there. Tony Holleran, welcome to the show. Hello, sir.
How are you, Dave?
I'm very well. I'm very
good,
well.
Good.
For being here tonight. Do you have a cup of tea, Anthony? You settled in?
I have a little drip.
You have a little drip. Sláinte, good dad.
To keep me gums moistened.
Same as myself.
Yeah.
Are you avoiding all this corona malarkey?
Well, I'm doing my level best, to tell you the truth. It's scary,
isn't it?
I have a drip. You'll excuse me if I fool around with hankies during the night.
Not at all.
I've a little drippy nose since the cold weather. They used to say one time, if your nose is dripping and your feet are smelling, you may be upside down.
Yes, right. I'm a bit drippy myself, so we'll snivel on together through thick and thin. We will. And I want to say thanks. I know Shay is there in the background as well, looking after all the technical stuff. So thanks to Shay in advance. There he is, in case I forget to thank him. Have you been a school teacher all of your life, Tony Holleran?
All of my life, yes.
Have you?
Yes. I started off in 1966 and stayed teaching until I stayed in Forban until I retired. Yeah.
Wow. So did you start in Forban?
Oh, I started, yeah.
Did you? And from 66 till recently you were in Forban. Amazing. Yeah. Any idea how many guitar students you had in your lifetime?
Oh, God.
Did you start playing? Not a clue.
I remember roomfuls of little boys and girls. So I have no idea how many, but there was a lot of them anyway. And a lot of them are still playing, thanks to God.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You put so many through your hands back in the day. Yeah, amazing how you did that for all of us. And as I said, some of us still doing it, and some of us for a living. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Brilliant times. Tell us a little bit, if you would, about, you grew up in the west of Ireland, Tony. I
came from Clonborough in County Galway, and when I was finished teacher training, I applied for various jobs, and I got the Forban job then. I remember I had to ring up Canon, or Dean, as he was at the time, Dean Early. I rang him up, and he says to me, "What age are you?" I says, "I'm 20. He says, "Do you smoke?" I says, "I do." And he says, "Do you drink?" I says, "I do." He says, "Can you start tomorrow?" That was my interview.
That was your interview.
How times have changed.
Unbelievable.
How times have changed.
Oh, yeah, indeed. Brilliant times in Forban, of course.
Yeah.
We probably should mention Mr. Heine as well in Forban. If we're talking about Forban, lots of
Joe,
great memories from Joey. Yeah, rest his soul. Great times in Heine's. I had great times in Heine's. You had great times in Heine's.
I had great times in Heine's. I lodged in Heine's for a number of years, and I was very friendly with Joe, and God knows with the rest of them as well.
Yeah.
In particular, he was. Jim signed for the very first guitar that the very first decent guitar that I bought. I was trying to buy it on the installments, but I needed a householder to sign the dotted line. So Jim signed it. God bless him.
Amazing. Do you remember coming down to Darren Cahill's shop with me to buy my first proper guitar?
I'll tell you the truth, I don't.
Well, I asked you down. I had a guitar, and I was trying to upgrade to something sort of more pro. And I was looking at this Takamine guitar that Darren Cahill had, and I remember asking you down to have a look at it and to see what your opinion was. You know, so that because I knew Darren would see me straight, of course. Anyway, they see me right, but. I remember bringing you down, and I was looking at all these kind of fancy guitars, these cutaway things, and these thin-bodied guitars that looked cool. And you said, "No," he says, "you need a guitar that puts a pain in your chest." So you said. So ever since, I've been playing guitars that put a pain in my chest. Yeah, that I can feel in the chest. Yeah. But look, we had great sessions in Forban, and you had great gigs. I mean, you never, of course, at all the songs you wrote, all the gigs you did, you never thought of doing it sort of semi-pro or professionally or like jacking in the job, did you? No, you never got the inkling. No,
that never crossed my mind. But it was always a pastime and very pleasurable pastime. But I never dreamt of leaving the job. I actually wasn't good enough anyway. You want to be fairly handy to go leaving a job and.
Well, I'm just saying it takes a lot of dedication anyway. Whatever about being good at it.
It takes a lot of talent too, you know. Yeah,
I guess
I didn't have that. I never had that.
Well, I suppose a lot of people would disagree with that. A lot of people see it as a big talent, but of course, I know what you're saying. Going out on the road full time is
Oh God, it's a big step.
It's a different thing.
It's a hard old life, like you know. I met a lot of fellas that were on the road. I was running folk clubs and stuff.
Yeah,
and I met a lot of the lads that were going around doing it full time, and it was no joke. I tell you, traveling and singing. Absolutely. And then traveling again, and oh God.
Yeah, it's not for the faint-hearted. Tell us a little bit about those folk clubs, Tony. You know, there was Athlone. What the other ones?
We started off. Tom Michaela and myself.
Yeah.
Started doing the Jolly Mariner in Athlone, and then we got help from Michael Foyle and Dennis Ryan and a whole lot of others, indeed. And. It went on for a number of years. It was great, you know. We had some brilliant nights, and then we had some awful nights as well. But the brilliant nights made up for the bad ones, you know.
Yes, of course. And you would have met, as you said, a lot of people passing through.
Oh, God,
so many from all over, from America, from
Tullamore started then as well. And in kind of conjunction with that loan, the two clubs ran together Saturday night and Monday night.
Yeah.
It was great, like, you know. Then Jimmy Crowley came on the scene, and he started a thing called a folk fáinne. A fáinne is a ring.
That's right, the gold.
And he started up this folk fáinne business where you could get a string of gigs for a week in folk clubs. starting in Dublin, Tullamore, Athlone, Crusheen, Shannon, Cork, and back to Dublin again for the following weekend.
A circuit, okay.
So you could actually entice people in.
Yeah. Okay. Let's say hello to a couple of people. You might know this fellow over here. A fellow called Dominic Madden is calling you of Man of Many Talents. How you doing? Nice to see you. Great to see you tuned in. Dominic, and the fellow, indeed, there's a fellow called Martin Dunning in there as well from Shannon Bridge.
Oh, Lord.
How you da? Good to see you. Yeah. And Anna's there as well from Shannon Bridge. Pádraig McHale. Hello, Pádraig.
Oh, Pádraig McHale. God bless you.
How are you, Tony? Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Lovely to see you all. We'll chat a bit more in a few minutes. Last time I was in Ireland, Tony, last time I was in Tullamore was April in 2019, would you believe? And I was rounding up a few songwriters to record a few songs for the channel. And of course, you and Dominic were high, along with Gavin G and a few other heads that I managed to meet up with on the day. So will you tell us a little bit about the first song we're going to play tonight? It's called Children of the Night, one of my favorite songs.
It's kind of a sad song about a boy that was kind of neglected. He wasn't abused in any way, but he was kind of neglected because, you know, he sat a lot on his own watching TV and fooling around with video games, and he didn't have much of an early life. And then he drifted. He drifted, as they say.
All right.
And he's actually dead now, the poor fella.
Oh no.
Yeah, he's dead. But anyway.
Yeah, sad story. But yeah, sometimes you have to write these kind of songs as well, you know. And
I don't know, it just popped into my head.
Yeah, it's a great way of documenting songs. You're a great man for documenting songs and collecting songs and all that, which we'll talk about in a few minutes when we come back. But in the meantime, I'm going to play this for our listeners. It's the one we recorded for the RWR Room Rambles playlist. So enjoy this, folks. We'll be back in 3 or 4 minutes with more great chat from Tony Holleran. Enjoy this song. It's called Children of the Night.
Waves rippled through the corn on the instant he was born. Blind and blaring rain squalls lashed the night. The rivers all ran deep, made the footless boulders leap, and lightning lit the rocks with ribs of light. Children of the night are hid by day in silent places, alert and ever watchful, with mute averted faces. Through the streets a shadow creeping, the dark cloud hovers near. It is fear, my nighttime children, it is fear. His mother's screams of pain echoed in his infant brain, and hate filled up his child's world from the start. All through those early years, he remembers only tears, lying alone for long hours in the dark. Children of the night are hid by day in silent places, alert and ever watchful, with mute averted faces. Through the streets a shadow creeping, the dark cloud hovers near. It is fear, my nighttime children, it is fear. His teachers tried to compensate, but by now it was too late. By the age of 12 he was vulgar and obscene, shoplifting, robbing cars, drinking cider sneaked from bars, trying to show his buddies he was mean. Children of the night are hid by day in silent places, alert and ever watchful, mute averted faces. Through the streets a shadow creeping, a dark cloud hovers near. It is fear, my nighttime children, it is fear. Finally ran away from home, and he started out alone to the city to find others as kind. Joined the children of the night, all of boyhood dreams took flight, and an empty shell is all that's left behind. Children of the night are hid by day in silent places, alert and ever watchful, with mute averted faces. Through the streets a shadow creeping, the dark cloud hovers near. It is fear, my nighttime children, it is fear. It is fear, my nighttime children, it is fear.
Don't you know?
The Children of the Night, a mighty song, a lot of people's favorite song. One of your great songs, Tony.
I like it, yeah.
It is. It's a great one. What we were speaking about the songs you write, but not only the songs you write, but the songs you collect. You have a huge collection of amazing songs, folk songs, and you sing a lot of them in your, you're doing your live streams. And where did that come from?
I started off when I was in the teacher training college. Somebody brought me out to Donoghue's in Marion Row, and the group that were there were the McKennas, and they used to sing very obscure songs. And there's where I got into the habit of listening to songs, because in Donoghue's back room at that time, if you put a cigarette in your mouth and you had a match like that, and somebody started singing a song, you couldn't crack the match until the song was over. Yeah. Because if you cracked the match, by God, everyone in the room would start staring at you.
Yes, yeah.
So everyone was listening, and
wow.
It was great. So when I came to Forband, then I had a few obscure songs from Donoghue's.
Yeah.
And I quickly slotted in with Harry Gunnan and PJ Minogue and Noel Lally and Micheál Maher. And the fact that I had a few songs, they used to bring me along to sessions.
Right.
I didn't play the guitar at that stage. And I started singing an odd song with them. And I got friendly with them. And that's why really I stayed in Forband. Because I met up with them.
When did you actually start playing the guitar then? And who taught you?
I started in Heidi's in Forband. When I arrived there was a fella called Donal Ahern, and he was in the bank, and he had a guitar, and he says to me, "Why don't you learn to play the guitar? You're always singing and all this." I said, I tried it before and I failed. So he said, "Look, I'll help you out." So I started then, and then I met up with all the other crew, Harry Gunnan and PJ Minogue and all them gang, and it went on from there. In those days, there was no lessons. You just picked it up as you went along.
Yeah.
You'd ask a fella, what was that? What was that you did, like,
Yeah, and so you had a few lads showing you from time to time.
Oh, yeah. Every session you went to, you'd ask somebody, what was that you did there? And song number 3.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. You play a 1970-something Martin D18, and I really have to ask you about this guitar story, Tony, and where that guitar came from. A lot of guitar geeks watch this program, and I wanted to ask you about your lovely guitar.
I got the guitar. I had a friend called Johnny McDonough who lived with me for a very short time when he got married first, and he was going out. He was playing with a group called the Donnan, and they were going to America. So he says to me, "Do you want anything from America?"
Oh, yeah, this is Ringo McDonough, yeah.
Johnny Ringo,
yeah.
And I says, if you come across an old cheap Martin or a Gibson guitar, bring them home.
Right.
So we laughed, and that was the end of that. So when he arrived back, he brought a lovely Martin D28, and he came into Shannon Airport on the 31st of the 10th, 1977. I have the
date.
I have it here.
Oh, wow.
He came into Shannon Airport, and he had to pay duty and tax of £21.55, and I think the guitar cost £311.
Oh, holy moly!
Yeah.
Oh
Fair
no!
play to Johnny McDonough. And
Absolutely.
I mean, I had to get a loan for central heating to buy the guitar, but I got it anyway.
Oh, look at it! It's worth a bit more than £300 now.
Well, it is. Yeah.
It is beautiful instrument you have. Yeah,
it's
great
a
story.
Beauty.
It's a
beautiful guitar.
Oh yeah, I remember bringing it in from the boot of the car some Friday evening and say, "Here's the car keys. Go out to the car and bring in that blue guitar case."
Yeah,
which you still have.
Yes.
And you'd be singing.
It's painted black now.
Oh, you painted it. It's painted black now. Fantastic. Is that who's the fellow behind you there in the photograph with the cowboy hat and the mandolin?
Oh, that's Bill Monroe, the father of bluegrass. Yeah,
the one and only Bill Monroe.
This F. Gibson mandolin. It was an ad. It was an ad down in where's my head? It was an ad down in Cahill's guitar shop, and I went in. I saw it, and I said, "God, that's a lovely poster."
Yeah.
I said to Mrs. Cahill, the Lord have mercy on her, I says, "When you're taking that down, give it to me." Oh, she says, "When I'm taking that down, it'll go straight into the bin." She says, "You may go and take it down now." So I did.
So wait,
and she gave it to me. So I still have it.
Brilliant. You told a story. I remember about a mandolin story, and I think it was about a Gibson mandolin as well. And Johnny Cash.
It was about a mandolin, very like what Bill Monroe played.
You remember that story?
I'll tell you. I had a friend in America that owned a guitar shop, and he told me the story. A young fella played the mandolin, and he was very good. And his dream was to buy an F. Gibson like Bill Monroe has. So he saved up, and then he got a loan, and he went off and he bought this mandolin, and it was his pride and joy. And his group got the chance to play before Johnny Cash's band, warm up.
Yeah, beautiful.
So they played anyway, and when they were in the dressing room, Johnny Cash says, that's a lovely mandolin you have. Oh, he said, "My pride and joy, I'm after buying it."
Yeah.
And can I have a look at it? So Johnny Cash was fooling with it and playing a few chords or playing a few licks on it. And then he took out a nail file and he put a big scrape down the front of it.
No.
And he says to your man, he says, "Every time you see that scrape, remember that Jesus loves you." And my friend Ricky says to him, "And do you actually remember that Jesus loves you when you see the scrape?" And he says, "No," he says, I just think that Johnny Cash is a complete son of a bitch."
He was a complete son of a bitch. Oh, wouldn't you kill him? What would you do?
Oh,
Lord,
oh Lord,
stop.
Oh, the poor fella. I pitied him.
Oh, man. We have our good friend Barry Tehan there. I saw a comment from Barry Tehan in Amsterdam.
Oh, God.
He's there. Hiya, Barry. Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. He's asking about a song that you wrote called Autumn Leaves. I know that's one of his favorites. We won't play it tonight, but remember... We
won't play it tonight, but it's a song. I started off writing this song about autumn, just ordinary. And the following morning, that was on a Sunday, and the following morning I was going to school, and it was a lovely autumn morning. The sun was shining, and Paddy Guinan, they used to call him the Gorman Guinan, he was sitting outside on the footpath on his kitchen chair with his head back and enjoying the sun. And when I saw him, I smiled, of course, and then I thought back to my 21st birthday. Paddy Guinan was at it.
Yeah.
It was, I was in Gunnan's at the time, in Paddy Gunnan's house and Mrs. Gunnan. And my birthday came, and it was a weeknight and there was nothing happening. So I was sitting there, brownach enough, and the next thing, the door swung open, and in comes Paddy Gunnan and this Paddy Guinan and a fella called Dan Sheridan. He was a guard in Ferban at the time, and the poet Doyle, John Doyle, the great poet.
Yes.
And the four of them came in anyway. And Paddy Gunnan says, I believe it's your birthday. Oh, God, I said, yeah. So with that, they brought in a couple of crates of Guinness, and Mrs. Gunnan got a little cake, and we had a hell of a party. Dan Sheridan used to play the tin whistle and sing, and a very good singer. And Paddy Guinan played the mouth organ, and the poet Doyle was tapping a couple of spoons. We had a great night. And then Harry came home at 12:30 or something.
Yeah.
And joined in. So that was my
that was your autumn. Yeah, that's one of Baz's memorable
Barry
songs.
Barry Tehan's granny and grandfather were
Granny and granddad. I see. I'm with you now.
The men of the house are the people of the house.
Ah, very nice. Great story. That's absolutely. We'll have another look about the other great Tony Holleran song. Before I do that, I noticed you've embraced this internet thing. You started doing live streams. You have a YouTube channel now, and it's amazing to see that. That you've kind of.
The thing about it is, I'm absolutely useless on the computer, but Seamus here beside me.
Shade's a great man for that.
Paul Bell started a thing on a Monday night, Zoom thing. And there were 7 or 8 of us involved who were all singing a few songs. And Seamus says, you should do an hour there. Yeah, so I started off, and I have 39 of them done now.
You've 39
39 hours.
If I told you in 1981 that you'd be sitting down in your den singing to a computer, you'd look at me fairly strange, wouldn't you?
But the funny thing about it is, there'd be more listening to me on a Thursday night than was ever on a Monday in the
in a way,
tap.
In a way, so. Absolutely understand that as well. There's a lot of Brewery Tap fans here watching tonight. Same as myself, of course.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
30. What is it? Over 30 years now. You're playing every Monday in the Brewery Tap. It's the
That's
longest
right.
running.
Longest
running session in Ireland, isn't it?
Well, Paul Bell reckons it is anyway.
Yeah. It's yeah, of course he does.
Yeah.
Paul, if you're watching, let us know how many years those boys, Dominic and Tony, are running that session. It's over 30 years, isn't it?
I think we got a plaque for 30 years. So
wow.
It's a year or two over that.
Was Monday Lunchtime in our town written in the Brewery Tap? Or
no.
Where was no?
It was written in Eugene Kelly's.
Right. Tell us more.
Up at the bridge. Now, before Eugene Kelly came there, I can't remember what was the name of the bar. But I happened to go down one Monday with a pair of boots to get resold.
Yeah.
And the cobbler had gone out for lunch. So I said, shag, I'm on my holidays, I'll have a pint. So I went into Eugene Kelly's now, and I called a pint. And I was looking around me, and I was absolutely astounded at the amount of people that were in the bar in the middle of the day on a Monday. Because I'd never been in a bar on a Monday. I was always in school.
Yeah.
So I wrote the chorus there and then, before I had finished the pint. And then I finished it later. It was great.
That's how it happened.
There was you see, Eugene's bar, there was a bookie underneath, and then there was the mart up the road. So farmers used to come down from the mart for a pint and a sandwich. And
oh, right. Was it an early house, was it?
Yeah. No. This was around dinner time. They were all having a sandwich and a pint.
Yeah, for a break.
It was great.
Yeah. So, and you were astounded by this. Some of the lines in the song.
It was a revelation for me.
Old-fashioned braces and unshaved faces, and
you're
the imagery in it is lovely. Yeah,
at the mall, yeah,
absolutely. We're going to give it a spin. Monday Lunchtime in our town from Tony's YouTube channel. Just so you know, guys, some of these videos get a bit squashed, when we play them back through the interweb. So I'd encourage everybody to go and suss out Tony's YouTube channel. He has 7 subscribers. It needs to be a lot more than that. Give him a few subscribes there, Tony Holleran. You'll find him on YouTube. And he's done a great series of songs with the help of Shay here. And here's one of the great songs. It's called Monday Lunchtime in Our Town.
Look out under red-rimmed eyelids Monday lunchtime in the bar. Rumpled shirts, sagging beer guts, old-fashioned braces, unshaved faces, just stepped in for one old jar. On the walls, the vats for breweries, long since redundant and closed down. Talk of jockeys and of horses, Monday lunchtime in our town. All the dreams have long since vanished, the twinkles left those watery eyes. All of youth's burning ambitions blown like smoke across the sky. Look out under red-rimmed eyelids, Monday lunchtime in the bar. Rumpled shirts, sagging beer guts, old-fashioned braces, unshaved faces, just stepped in for one old jar. On the walls, they've ads for breweries, long since redundant and closed down. Talk of jockeys and of horses, Monday lunchtime in our town. Out on the bridge, the tar is melting, canal waters near the boil. But back in here, it's cool and timeless, far removed from strife and toil. Look out under red-rimmed eyelids, Monday lunchtime in the bar. Rumpled shirts, sagging beer guts, old-fashioned braces, unshaved faces, just stepped in for one old jar. On the walls, they've ads for breweries, long since redundant and closed down. Talk of jockeys and of horses, Monday lunchtime in our town. All the talk is sadly boring, yet no one seems to see. It's just a form of daytime dreaming, staving off reality. Look out under red-rimmed eyelids, Monday lunchtime in the bar. Rumpled shirts, sagging beer guts, old-fashioned braces, unshaved faces, just stepped in for one old jar. On the walls, the vats for breweries, long since redundant and closed down. Talk of jockeys and of horses, Monday lunchtime in our town. Talk of jockeys and of horses, Monday lunchtime in our town.
Yes, another classic. Absolutely love it. Chris Link in Germany there, he was saying it's how it paints so many great pictures in the head. There's great imagery in that song, and
yeah,
it's a good one, a really good one. Do you have any kind of writing process, Tony, or does it just kind of come to you? No, you don't go around you take a lot of notes.
I'm not
not
a songwriter, and I'm certainly not a poet. But
well, I disagree with you there now, but
now and again,
now and again,
a line comes into my head. For example, last week I was on fairly strong medication, and I couldn't sleep on Monday night. And I was lying in the bed there, and my mind was whirling back to Forban and the old days. And the next thing, a whole verse came into my brain in one stream.
Yeah.
And I stepped out of the bed at 3 o'clock in the morning, put on the light, and grabbed a biro and wrote it down, because I knew, well, like a dream, it was
yes.
in the morning. But you see, I could never, like the great songwriters like Mick Hanley and Jimmy McCarthy and all them fellas, they go in the morning, they sit down.
It's a job, yeah.
Their piano and their guitar, and they slog away there for hours. I couldn't do that.
Yeah, it's a different discipline, yeah.
Yeah, it's a different thing. The very few songs that I ever wrote were more or less by accident.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. Did they all kind of come sort of all together,
No,
you know, or were you just tipping away
no, just
as you
you'd
went?
be kind of dreaming going along in the car, and
Yeah.
you know,
And
an
you'd
idea come
scribble
into
something
your
down.
head and
Yeah, yeah,
throw
yeah.
something down.
Have you brothers and sisters,
I
Tony?
have one brother, Sean. He was a guitar player as well.
Yeah, I
He
was going to
played
ask.
rock music. He played
Okay.
the Time Machine and
Ah,
Brat
wow. Yeah,
in the West.
in the
Yeah.
West. So was the Gaelic language a huge part of your upbringing? The
Gaelic
Irish
what?
was Irish a big part of your upbringing?
Well,
The Irish language.
my father loved Irish,
Hmm.
and when I used to be going around with him when I was a kid, everyone he met, they spoke Irish, or nearly everyone he met,
Yeah.
and it just drifted into my school by accident, like the songwriting.
Like the songwriting. Yeah, it wasn't something that
My
you.
whole life was an accident.
Mine too. It's all right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
but
was just curious about
he
that.
he used to visit cousins of his up in the mountains, and they never spoke a word of English in their lives. These two old brothers,
Oh, I see.
and so the three of them used to be chatting away in Irish, and I was, listening, and I suppose it was drifting into my brain.
Yeah.
So that by the time I came to 14, I had fairly good Irish, and then I went to an all-Irish school, Colastania in Galway, and we spoke Irish day in, day out for 4 years. There was never a word of English spoken in that school at all,
Right.
except in the English class.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Everything else
everything
was
through
Irish.
Irish.
Yeah.
And what
So
were
I
you?
had great Irish at that stage then, but I've gone out of practice now.
And as a teacher, in the course of your teaching life, would you have gravitated to a particular subject that you kind of felt you liked more than others? Because I know you
Well,
had to kind of go across the
I,
board, but
I always liked history more than, and I was fairly good at maths when I was a kid.
Hmm.
The simple maths.
Yeah.
I was good at that, and I liked maths and history. But
they were the two sort of the main ones.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's right. I do remember.
I was never good enough at Irish or English. I thought I
Okay.
always thought.
You always thought, yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't great at the mathematics myself, as you well know, but I remember you explaining a couple of things to me in school, which I thought were clever. The way you explained them to Tico.
Yeah.
Yes. So and then of course I was going to say history, because I know a lot of your songs, the ones you have written, and I know the ones that you sort of songs you've sung over the years, the ones I learned from you tended to be historic story songs.
Exactly.
They're the kind of songs I think that you
Oh,
would have
geez,
listened
yeah.
to as well. Who were some of the big names now that could have influenced you, who you sort of gravitated towards as a listener growing up?
Well, I vary from week to week, but I mean, the likes of Andy Irvine had an awful influence on all of us, and
Yeah.
Johnny Monaghan, and all of them Sweeney's Men, and that gang.
Yeah.
had a
What about
influence.
and the Americana side though as well?
Oh God,
That's a big part of what you do. Yeah.
Yeah, 5-string banjos and fiddles and
Yeah.
all the old timey, old Appalachian stuff.
Yeah, it's
all
do you remember how you got into the old Appalachian stuff and the Americana?
The New Lost City Ramblers were a huge influence. I remember Harry Gunnan went on a trip to London. He came back with 2 LPs of the New Lost City Ramblers, and we just learned the whole LP from start to finish.
Wow.
People would say, "We'll do number 3," like,
Really, that's how well you knew it.
Yeah. And do you remember a fella called George Kay coming around? He was with some show band.
Yes.
We used to meet up with them in the pubs before they'd play. And he played fiddle, guitar, mandolin, auto harp, 5-string banjo.
Yeah.
And he played them all so well, and he sang like a son of a gun. And he was mad about the Stanley Brothers and the New Odyssey Ramblers and all them. So we were influenced by him as well.
Yeah, amazing, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because that's a big part of what you do. You know, I knew you from Otterwood the Bandit and all those big songs,
Oh,
big country
yeah,
songs.
yeah,
But
yeah.
you know, even prior to the Bob Dylan stuff you were doing, but
yeah.
there was a load of Americana songs that you sang for us in school, and that I ended up picking up myself. Did you actually meet Arlo Guthrie? Is that right?
Oh, I met him briefly. I was in Miltown Malbay at the down at some festival or other. Willie Clancy was alive at the time, and he was in the back room in Friel's bar, and I went on one knee in the bar, looking in through the door to the back kitchen where Willie Clancy and Seamus Ennis and a few others were chatting and playing. And the next thing was, this guy knelt on the other side of the door, and I glanced across, and I thought I knew him, like, you know.
Yeah,
And then I was thinking, and next thing it dawned on me, I said, by any chance would you be Arlo Guthrie? And he says, I am. And I was absolutely astounded because, you know, I mean, Arlo Guthrie in Miltown Malbay, like,
in Miltown a little bit.
he had played at a festival in England, and someone told him about Willie Clancy Week. So himself and Roddy came to Miltown for
Miltown, yeah.
And I said, is there going to be any tune from you? And he says, we're playing in Wilson's Bar in the morning. So myself and Louis Dwyer and Pat Sheeran and I think maybe Andy Irvine, but definitely Kevin Burke. We all went down to Wilson's Bar, and Arlo Guthrie came with his roadie, a black man playing a guitar. He wasn't even on the band. Jeez, he was a fantastic guitar player.
Brilliant.
So they started singing anyway. And the next thing was then, when we all got tired and weary after a couple of hours, Kevin Burke and Arlo Guthrie tore into it, and they played endlessly. And Arlo Guthrie says to Kevin Burke, if you're ever in America, be sure and call to me. Yeah. And Arlo Guthrie was living up in the Catskill Mountains at the time. So Kevin Burke packed up and went back to London, and then he packed his grip and got his passport and headed for America. And he arrived at Arlo Guthrie's house, and he was telling us afterwards, he says there was a huge big sitting room in the house, and he says in the morning, the first fella down would go to the wall, they'd pick down a guitar or a banjo or something. Start. Next thing, another lad would drift in, he'd take down a fiddle or something and start playing. And the session would be going on. And then Arlo Guthrie says, I'm going to Los Angeles to make an LP. He says to Kevin, would you like to play a couple of tracks on it? Wow. Kevin, certainly. So the next thing, there was another fellow there called Doug Dillard. He was with a group called the Dillards. And Doug Dillard says, I'm going to drive to Los Angeles by road. He says to Kevin Burke, would you like to go with me? So Kevin thought he was joking. And he says, right, okay. So your man pulled in the following morning, toot, 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 gathered up and headed for Los Angeles by road. So they went down to wherever Dillard came from, down in Louisiana or someplace. They went to his house and they played a few tunes there for a night. Then they went on to Los Angeles, and Kevin Burke did feature on that LP. It was called The Last of the Brooklyn Cowboys. Guthrie LP. And Kevin played the fiddle on it. That's how Kevin started off in America.
Great story too. Fantastic. But you've been out there as well, Tony, yourself.
I was out there umpteen times. Yeah.
And what is your connection with Jim Page, or how do you know Jim?
Well, I knew Jim in Ireland actually. What do you call Christy Moore's sister? I can't think of her name, but she ran a folk club in Dublin. And she contacted me. She says, you should get this American fellow.
Moor, maybe, yeah.
I got down Jim Page to Athlone, and he arrived on some important night, like maybe Patrick's night or something like that,
right.
where there was a crowd. And the next thing we says, Jesus, how will this fella go with such a big crowd?
Yeah, and probably a bit of noise.
So
yeah.
He was wearing the little beanie or whatever you call it, tea cozy on his head. And next thing, there was no tuners in those days, so you had to go into a corner and put a pump on yourself and play. So he tuned up anyway. And the next thing, he turned around nice and gently, and he started very quietly doing a kind of a talking blues. And Michael Foyle was there, and Michael Foyle says, "What's he talking about?" So everyone shut up and started listening to him, and he was doing an impromptu talking blues about what was going on in the room.
Oh, he was all right.
There was total silence, and he went down a bomb. And so from that day on, he was very welcome in the folk clubs, I'll tell you.
He was able to control it like that. Amazing.
Oh, geez, he was great.
Oh, yeah. Consummate professional. Yeah. You going back to your historic songs and songs that you write, that are sort of like documentation of historical facts. Tell us about, if you would, Joseph Pike. You wrote a great song.
Oh, God Almighty! Oh, God! Some guy was in this children's home in Tralee, run by the Christian Brothers for some kind of wayward boys. And the next thing was, they went into breakfast one morning, and they sat down, and in those boarding places, there was no chat during breakfast. Total silence. Eat your breakfast. Keep your mouth shut. There'd be a fellow walking up and down supervising. And the next thing, there was a guy sitting beside this man, and his name was Joseph Pike, and he wasn't eating his breakfast. And of course, that didn't go down well. And this Christian brother came over to him, and he says, "Why aren't you eating your breakfast, young man?" And the guy says, he says, "I'm not feeling well." He says, I'm sick. And with that, he whipped up this leather strap, and he started lashing him, and he beat him until he fell to the ground, and he was carried out of the dining room, and they never saw him alive again. He died, and he was buried on the grounds. And this guy was writing into the paper telling that story, and he was the one that started all this investigation into children's homes and all that. And the next thing was, the Pope came over, and he was given some kind of an award to the Christian Brothers. And when the Pope was actually given a spiel about the Christian Brothers, this man and his friends were gathered around Joseph Pike's grave, and they were saying a prayer there. And that was the song. Really.
That sparked a song.
Yeah,
it's a powerful song, Tony, and definitely one I wanted to play tonight. So we'll give it a blast, and I'll see you in a couple of minutes for a bit more chat. The Ballad of Joseph Pike, folks, true story written by the great Tony Holleran.
Joseph Pike sat down beside me. It was breakfast time in Tralee town. Lumpy porridge, bread and drippings. Joseph Pike, he couldn't get it down. Joseph Pike, he couldn't get it down. A lad of scarcely 16 summers, and all his life behind high walls. He never tasted life's sweet freedom. Joseph had scarcely lived at all. Joseph had scarcely lived at all. Oh, Joseph Pike, we won't forget you. We'll all bow down our heads in shame. And the pious face of all the Ireland blushes crimson at your name, blushes crimson at your name. Locked away when he was an infant, all his life he lived in fear. Terrorized by the Christian brothers, how could we know his end was near? How could we know his end was near? Tell me, boy, why aren't you eating? Please, brother, I'm not feeling well. He swung with the strap and kept on beating till at his feet the young boy fell. At his feet the young boy fell. Oh, the Pope, he praised the Christian brothers, although he knew what some were like. And all around his lonely headstone, we said a prayer for Joseph Pike. We said a prayer for Joseph Pike. Oh, Joseph Pike, we won't forget you. We'll all bow down our heads in shame. Oh, the pious face of holy Ireland blushes crimson at your name, blushes crimson at your name.
Yeah. Short and sweet and to the point. Nail on the head there, Tony.
Yeah.
It's a powerful song.
Tough times.
Tough times indeed. And, and
not so long ago.
Not so long ago. I mean, you know yourself. You grow up. I grew up in as an Irish kid in school. We grew up in the middle of corporal punishment.
Oh,
as well.
Yeah.
You know,
I inflicted it. I inflicted it.
You did, but no, in fairness, you may have inflicted corporal punishment, but not to the level that some did. I never saw you raise I seen you raise a hand to a child, but never be heavy-handed with a child in my time in school. You know, unlike other unnamed teachers, but it has happened. It changed. Of course, it changed in your time.
Oh yeah,
near the end of your.
Yeah. I saw the end of it.
You did, yeah.
The beginning of the new era.
Of the new era, yeah, indeed. There were tough times in Ireland, and the Christian Brothers, of course, don't have a great reputation when it comes to that.
Yeah, I suppose there were people who were in the Christian Brothers who shouldn't have been there at all. You know, maybe I don't know what circumstances drove them into an organization like that. Maybe it was a handy way of living for some. I don't know.
Sure, maybe, and then a lot of them brought their own. Yeah, it didn't. A lot of them maybe bringing their own childhood traumas with them. You know, to do this job, and not the best idea. You know.
Yeah.
When you think of it, but there were change times, tough times, and a lot of us still remember those times. I don't know if you were. You as a kid yourself, were you under the Christian Brothers at any stage yourself?
No. I was under ordinary priests, but I was in secondary school. But there was no, you get slogged all right for get lashed on the hand, but there was no abuse that I ever heard of in the sense. There was no sexual abuse or any of that stuff that I knew of anyway.
That song reminds me a little bit of the song that I learned from years ago. William Zanzinger, Kill Poor Hattie Carroll.
Oh God Almighty! Yeah,
that he twirled on his diamond ring finger. One of your classics as well. That has stayed with me.
There was no one could actually come within an ass's roar of Bob Dylan when you think of it. To write so much, so consistently over all those years. Oh Jesus!
Oh, indeed. Were you always a fan of of the man? Were you always a fan of him?
I was, yeah.
Yeah.
I saw him live in 1966 in Dublin when he was in a transition from being a solo acoustic player to a band. He played in a cinema in Dublin, the Ambassador, and he came out for the first half, and he just came out on his own with his guitar and mouth organ, and he sang for an hour, and then there was a break, and they came out in the second half. Then he had the band behind him. God Almighty! Tonight they were fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus! It was, and of course at that time, I wasn't a fully fledged folker. I was more inclined to listen to the band than the solo stuff. But
yeah,
it was fantastic.
You remember it very well. One of the highlights.
The ticket is on the wall there.
You still have. You're a great collector of all that stuff. You have receipts and tickets. And
I have receipts.
It's mighty
Yeah.
to have. And of course a great collector of songs, new and old. Which of course that's a big part of what you do outside of the songwriting. I know you don't really class yourself as a songwriter, although we do, but you've written great songs, Tony, and of course you've collected lots of wonderful songs.
Yeah.
It's great that you're putting them down on tape and archiving these things and all. I know Shay's helping you there to do that, and very important. I love the archive aspect, hence the YouTube channel for me as well, to be able to talk to people young and old and get all of this thing down, all these stories down. I love the archive as you do. It's important, isn't it?
I think so myself, but others would disagree. Sometimes Liz just say maybe we should hire a skip. Empty that room of yours.
And empty that room. Fire hazard.
Oh yeah.
Before we go, Tony, I just wanted to say from on behalf of myself and all the other guitarists, by the way, before I forget to say it, the gift you gave us was amazing, and to thank you so much for the first chords and the first leg up the ladder and the kick in the arse that we needed to go out and do what we did. We appreciate it very much. Yeah,
well, of course, it's an ongoing thing. It's like the stream. You showed other people, and other people showed me, and
yes, that's how it should be. We pass on our knowledge and whatever we can. Yeah, indeed it is. And you do that. Are you still teaching now in the house there?
Well, I was right up to COVID. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
I actually had some very good guitar players coming here just right up to COVID. Very good.
Yeah, brilliant.
People that I can see will go on playing.
And we'll keep going. Yeah, it's great. The few students I have as well myself, I'm still teaching the Tony Holleran method myself. To start off with G, go to B minor, into the G and the A7. That has stayed with me, Tony, since I was 11, and I'm still. So, any of my students watching, it's that man over here. That's who's handed it all down.
Yeah.
But thank you very, very much for your time,
today,
Tony, and your energy is brilliant.
Yeah.
Before we go about this last song we're going to play is called Empty Houses, Empty Halls. So if you could tell us about that song, and then we'll say goodbye properly. Empty Houses, Empty Halls.
I saw a photograph in a local magazine in Clonbur, and there was a boat pulled up on the shore, and there was two fellas with big wide trousers there, and I thought to myself, where did you go? And one of them had gone to New York and the other had gone to England, and that was the end of them as far as Clonbur was concerned. And I thought to myself, what a pity that all these fine strapping men had to leave the west of Ireland and go places.
Sure.
So that was the
that's where that came from. Yeah. And of course, an all too common occurrence, and still is.
Oh yeah. Still is. Yeah.
It still is, Tony. I want to wish you all the very best for the year ahead, Tony. You're one of the few songwriters and musicians on here that has not selling anything, no website to promote, no Spotify or anything. It's brilliant. It's great that, you're old school, and, I love what you do. I love your songs, and I hope that you'll keep doing what you do. I hope that you'll have many more gigs in the Bury Tap or wherever else with Dominic and with yourself.
Well, yes, we hope this COVID will finish and that we'll get back to semi-normality.
Semi-normality, indeed. Seamus, stick in your hand there and give us a thumbs up. Thanks very much, Shay, for all your technical help there tonight as well. Much appreciated. I appreciate you being on here, Tony. Thank you so very, very much. And a happy new year to you and yours.
It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, Tony. Slán go fóill.
Slán.
Right, folks, there you go. The inimitable and brilliant Tony Holleran. And thanks to Shay again for the technical expertise there. I'm going to leave you with this song of Tony's called Empty Houses and Empty Halls. And I will see you all on the next Raving with Rua, back here again on a fella called Fia Rua, another Rua, going to join us here Wednesday night. So we go Wednesdays and Saturdays. Give the videos a thumbs up. Leave comments below, please. Subscribe to the channel and enjoy this great song from Tony Holleran. Thanks again, Tony. All the very best to you all. Thanks for watching. Tony Holleran's Empty Houses, Empty Halls. Take care of yourselves.
Across Sandy Bay, the night winds blow softly. The last trout are feeding, the gulls wheel and soar. But gone are the boys who once fished in these waters. Their boats are lying idle on the windswept rocky shore. All gone a roving far across the ocean, far from the mountains and trout lakes of the west, to a land of strangers treated as sad outcasts, when they should be seeding the green land of the blessed. The sheep roam the fields, their wants are unheeded, their bleating is echoed in empty rooms and halls. Where are the shepherds who guarded these hillsides? They're now miles away from blighted Inishfall. All gone a roving far across the ocean, far from the mountains and trout lakes of the west, to a land of strangers treated as sad outcasts, when they should be seeding the green land of the blessed. No flute now is heard playing tunes in the twilight, lifting the hearts of young and of old. The music is gone from the green groves of Erin. Tunes are forgotten, old stories left untold. All gone a roving far across the ocean, far from the mountains and trout lakes of the west, to a land of strangers treated as sad outcasts, when they should be seeding the green land of the blessed.